Measuring range of motion of the hand and wrist can be very difficult for some clinicians, can kind of get a little confusing. So I like to keep it really simple. We don't have to overcomplicate things. I have just a few goniometers I like to use. My favorite one here is this kind of flat one, and I like to use this one because it moves really nicely and it does really well at measuring for finger range of motion. The other that I like to use is this one. You've probably seen this one. If you're a therapist, you definitely probably got this in one of your goniometer kits or your therapy class kits. And I like this one because I use this one to measure wrist extension, inflection, deviation side to side. I measure that typically using this one. And then what I did was I like to take this very one here because it's pretty inexpensive, and I take that one and I cut the ends on it and shorten it up, and then I just make a little short one here. And so that one I'll also use for the fingers. I actually did that before I got this other one. I kind of discovered this one, but I have a lot of these that I've cut up and used. That works really well. So I always measure both active and maybe passive range of motion. Depends on what's going on. If the patient had surgery, I'm going to measure passive range of motion, where I'm taking the wrist or the hand or the fingers through the range of motion to kind of see what they can do or how much the range of motion is available. And then I always measure active range of motion. That's where I'm having the patient actively go through those movements. Again, you don't really have to get too bogged down. You can, if this is a surgery, you want to be very specific with your exact numbers. Maybe even sometimes if you don't have access to the goniometers and maybe you just don't have a lot of time, you can measure, even like if you're looking for kind of gross flexion of all the fingers, how far it is from the ends of your fingers down to the crease in the palm. Something like that. Can the patient oppose the thumb to all the digits? I just try to keep it pretty basic. There's also for the wrist range of motion, you can see if they can kind of do this and bring their elbows and kind of bring everything parallel here. And then, is there a gap at the bottom of their hand right here or not? And that's looking at extension. And you can do the same thing for flexion. Can they kind of make all of this touch and keep the elbows and the forearms, in a pretty straight line right there? So that is another way that you can measure, just kind of grossly measure range of motion if you don't have the goniometers, or if you're a little confused as to kind of what to do with the goniometers.